Hi, this is Emma,
and Michaela,
and you're listening to
Sleeping in Park, where we talk about our trips and tips to visiting beautiful places.
Follow along as we learn and share stories from our public lands and stops along the way. You know what I realized? Every time we do our intro, we tilt
Bob our heads.
Oh my gosh, it drives me insane when I watch it back.
No, because I noticed that the other day, or
a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, we just always tilt our head the same way too.
What are we, dolls? Okay. We are going to dive into Badlands National Park. History, human geology, and animal.
Yeah, got a little bit of everything.
Yeah, we do. Good little taste tester.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. I was gonna say palate cleanser, but it was the opposite of a palate cleanser. And then it came to me. Taste tester.
Taste. Alright, starting with human history. So the name Badlands is in homage to the people who lived there before it became a national park site. For hundreds of years, the Lakota people called this place Mako Sika. I could be saying that wrong, but I think that's right. Which actually translate to bad lands. And then when French fur traders traveled through there, they called it. I did not look up how to say this part. That's in French. So excuse my
just get a little
English
a little going. And then think of that.
Les
Mauvaises
terres à traverser.
There you go.
Something along those lines. Don't quote me on that. But that also translates to badlands to travel across. So it's just why it's bad is basically, or why everybody says it's bad is basically because it makes it difficult to travel. It's just difficult to travel. If you've ever seen it, I can't imagine trying to travel through there in little cart and wagon with a wagon. So yeah, that would not be fun. And then when it rains, the clay there becomes very slick and sticky. And then just the winters are really cold and windy, and then summers are hot and dry. So it's it was just nobody liked traveling through that area.
Yeah. And there are few water sources, and the ones that they do have, it's muddy and unsafe to drink out of. So that also limits your options on the primal need of water. And then the canyons and buttes make it harder to navigate through the land. And all these factors make it difficult to survive. And evidence of early activity pointed to seasonal hunting rather than permanent habitation.
Kind of like in Rocky.
I was just thinking Rocky National Park.
Mm-hmm.
And so because of how quickly the Badlands wear away, archaeological sites must be surveyed and described quickly. And that's so you can actually have them documented before they disappear.
So archaeology is basically the study of past human life. And the oldest archaeological site in the Badlands is over 12,000 years old. And there's been over 300 sites that have been found within the park boundaries.
They have found scorched rock and charcoal, which suggests ancient campfires, and sites full of bison bones that suggest butchering locations. Yeah. And pottery can also be found at those stoneworking sites as well.
Mm-hmm. Most of the sites are found on the margins of eroding sod tables, which are fragments of ancient prairie that are found throughout the park. And then, so the earliest sites belong to a culture known as Plains Archaic, which was between 6,000 BCE to 1 CE.
Yeah.
And then more recent sites included the Arikara, is that right? Yeah. And the Oglala Lakota.
In archaeological evidence and oral history indicate that the Eureka were pushed out of the region by the Oglala Lakota in the 1700s. And in 1862, the Homestead Act was put in place by President Abraham Lincoln, which allowed for people to receive 160 acres to live and farm on.
Mm-hmm. And then in 1887, the Dawes Act was put into place by President Grover Cleveland, which allowed the government to break up tribal lands. The government wanted to assimilate Native Americans into mainstream U.S. society by encouraging them into farming and agriculture. But that also meant breaking up the tribal lands into individual plots. And then only the Native Americans who accepted the division of tribal lands were allowed to become like American citizens.
And in 1909, the enlarged Homestead Act was put into place, which promised an additional 160 acres to farmers willing to claim more marginal lands where irrigation was difficult. So this would total to 320 acres for that farmer. And then in 1916, Stock Raising Homestead Act promised 640 acres of public land for ranching purposes, and most plots around the Badlands were not fertile enough for agriculture, but could support ranches.
Yeah.
So like cattle.
Yeah. And then the U.S. Air Force took possession of 341,762 acres of land on the Pine Ridge Reservation for a gunnery range. 37 acres were on the Badlands, which was then a national monument. And then this area was used in the early 90s as air-to-air and air-to-ground gunnery ranges, and precision and demolition bombing exercises were also common there.
So that's some of the people history on the land.
Yeah.
Now let's learn about the rocks.
About the rocks. Big rocks.
I can. So the formations are a product of two processes, deposition and erosion. And so deposition is the process of rocks gradually building up over the course of millions of years. The rocks were deposited by different natural forces from shallow inland seas to rivers and wind. Deposition began about 75 million years ago and ended about 28 million years ago. And then erosion is the process of rocks gradually wearing away. And erosion began about 500,000 years ago as the Cheyenne and White Rivers carved their way through the landscape. They are the reason for the narrow channels, canyons, and rugged peaks of the Badlands that we see today. And it is estimated that they are eroding at about 1 inch per year, which is very fast for rocks. And scientists estimate that the Badlands will have completely eroded away in the next 500,000 years. So see them while you still can, because of course everyone here today will be alive in 500,000 years. No,
I thought it was funny to add in. I'm a funny person. The formations are. Oh wait, okay. Actually, I'm very curious about the time between when deposition ended 28 million years ago and erosion began 500,000 years ago. That is such a large time gap. What happened in there?
Yeah, but maybe there just wasn't a formation of the rock at that time. Like, yeah, the time is there and it existed, obviously.
Yeah,
Maybe the rocks weren't building drastic way, kind of.
I suppose. That's probably right. I was just like,
Educated
that's a
guess.
very large amount of time.
It is, but
But yeah. So the formations are made up of sandstones, siltstones, mudstones, claystones, limestones, volcanic ash, and shale. The volcanic ash is from eruptions in the Great Basin, which is a geological province including states like Utah and Nevada. Most of the ash was washed into the area, and there's only one layer of pure volcanic ash that you can see, and it's called the Rocky Ford ash that's in the park.
the layers correspond with different moments in time geologically. So the Pure shale was deposited 75 to 69 million years ago and laid down by the Western Interior Seaway. Fossils from the marine life, including a mosasaur, a giant marine reptile that could measure over 50 feet long.
I thought that was crazy.
And then you have yellow mounds, an altered version of Pierre Shale after the interior seaway drained into the Arctic Ocean. And then Chad Run Formation, which was from 37 to 34 million years ago, from an ancient floodplain that the environment was hot and wet, similar to Everglades National Park, actually, which is pretty cool. And then the Brule Formation, which was 34 to 30 million years ago, and the environment was cooler and dry. And then Sharps Formation, 30 to 28 million years ago, is the base of the Sharps in the Rocky Fort Ash. The Sharps is characterized by sandstone river channels as the climate continued.
And then, so the term Badlands is also a geological term. So it's not just like the name of a park. It's also a geological term for the type of terrain that's found in the park, which is also found in Wyoming, Utah, North Dakota, Colorado, and Nebraska. And then a couple other parks you can find these formations in is Theodore Roosevelt National Park, Petrified Forest National Park, and Toadstool Geological Parks.
I was gonna say that's not one of the 63 national parks. That's
It's
a
no, it's
national
not a
park site.
national park, but it's a
It's a
national
national
park
park site.
site because
Okay,
it's
I was
a
like, what?
geologic
Yeah.
park.
Okay. I was just wanting to clarify that.
Yeah.
And then so then we have the prairie,
Mhm.
which is Badlands. So the prairie is a large open area of grasslands with uh Badlands being a mixed grass prairie, and it's a grassland of different heights, if you couldn't tell by mixed grass prairie. But basically, it's where the grows of eastern tall grass meets a western short grass. And this type surrounds the Badlands ranging from ankle height to waist height. Yeah, I didn't know I got that.
Yeah. A mixed grass prairie has more species, and the Badlands have over 400 plant species. And in the mixed prairie grassland, rainfall's low. Summers are hot and dry with wildfires, and then winter brings cold blizzards and periodic floods and droughts that create short growing seasons with hardy grass that can survive these tough conditions that a lot of others can't. And then this was once the most extensive biome in the US, but it's shrunk to 30% of its original size. That's crazy.
Yeah. And the animals that live here depend on the ecosystem, and ecosystem depends on them, if you didn't know that.
Yeah.
So, the American bison. So, the scientific name is bison, but buffalo is derived from the French name of bœuf, I think, given to bison when French fur trappers were working in the US and saw bison. So, the real name, but it's interchangeable. People use it
Yeah.
interchangeably, but I just
Yeah.
always I wanted a little bit like,
Yeah.
bison is a scientific name and buffalo is a French
Like it.
nickname.
Thing.
And it is estimated there are 30 million bison now and about 20,000 on public lands.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So there's that many on like private
I
farms.
do not know. I just know somebody told me there would be, but I don't think there's enough bison farms
For that there to be,
million.
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe some of it, well, state lands or public lands too. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hmm.
Um, but bison are the heaviest land mammal in North America and can get up to 6.5 feet tall, 1,000 pounds. And surprisingly, they're very agile and can run up to 35 miles per hour and have a vertical leap of 6 feet. I know, right?
They can really just launch
They
themselves.
really can.
Holy crap.
Yeah. And imagine a 2,000-pound animal running at you at 35 miles an hour.
I think I would just accept my fate.
Well, that's why we need to be smart around buffalo.
Yeah.
They are
smart.
dangerous.
Yes.
And Badlands are within the historical range, actually, but they were reintroduced in 1963 from the Theodore Roosevelt National Park herd, which I thought was pretty
That is
cool.
cool.
And then the herd today is 1,200 bison, and in winter, so then I kind of got the seasons going
Yeah.
of the bison. So in winter, bison are well adapted to the cold because of their coat. Their coat is thick, so snow never touches bison's skin.
Yeah.
Could you imagine that? Wouldn't that be so nice?
That'd be so cool.
And they use their heads and neck hump to plow snow out of the way to graze for grass. While most animals turn their backs to the wind, bison actually face oncoming winter storms.
I did know that because they know that it's faster to walk through the storm than it is to try and walk away from it.
They're pretty cool like that.
They're cool. I think I saw that actually on like a Yellowstone National Park Instagram post.
It sounds about right. But in the spring, bison lose their winter coats and then they'll roll on the ground to cover themselves in mud and dirt. And this is called wallowing. And wallowing also helps protect them from bug bites and spreads their scent. So multi-purpose. And it also helps prevent the prairie, or it also helps the prairie ecosystem by compacting and churning up soil, making way for new plants, while sometimes even filling with water so it becomes like a little pond for other animals.
Interesting.
Yeah. But bison also welcome their newborn calves, often called red dogs for their resemblance to reddish canines.
Oh my gosh. I wish we would have known that when we were
Red dog, red dog, red dog,
red dog.
you a Clifford.
You are Clifford.
And then in the summer, the bison breed in the summer with bulls butting heads and pawing at the ground. Bellowing can be heard from very far away.
Oh yeah.
And their gestation period is 9.5 months. very similar to humans.
Interesting.
Yeah, because
Cool.
like human pregnancy is actually it's closer to 9.5 months than 9.
Yeah.
It's like 9.3 something.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, oh my gosh, look at us, almost spot on, almost matching the buffalo. Um, but in the fall, a bison roundup occurs each fall where rangers collect biological data. New bison are tagged, and sick or injured bison receive treatment. And then bison will go on to live on other public lands or be given to groups like the Intertribal Buffalo Council, which are Native American tribes dedicated to preserving traditional buffalo practices. And so all the bison that are separated from the roundup go their ways to make sure that the land can still maintain the size of the herd.
Yeah.
And then make sure, if you see bison, you maintain 100 feet of distance because they can cause severe injury or even death if angered.
Yeah.
Do you remember when, I think it's our Yellowstone brochure,
Okay.
or our Yellowstone pamphlet thing that we get, and it shows the bus lengths was bison, because I know
Yeah.
bear was like, what was it, 10
was like
buses
it was a lot of
or 8 or something, and then like elk was 3
I don't
or 4,
remember.
but it was like, because the 25 or 50
Yeah.
yards for. Why did I think that for some reason bison was not in the 100 yards, but Badlands recommends 100 feet. That's why. I was
Yeah,
like,
yards.
I was like,
Why?
okay, that makes more
Yeah.
sense. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, if you're far away from a bear, I mean, they're dangerous, but they don't.
But they're
I was like,
mountains.
why is Yellowstone will get closer than Badlands?
Badlands buffalo are just different.
I feel like Yellowstone buffalo are actually just jabs. It's the people at Yellowstone
It's
actually are different, but
next, we've got bighorn sheep.
yes.
Um, their population hit a low of 20,000 in 1940, while it used to be at over 2 million. And conservation stepped in, and the population is now up to 80,000. And in 1964, Badlands received their first herd of 22 sheep from a Colorado herd, and then their second population in 2004 from New Mexico. And the park is now home to 250 bighorn sheep. Um, they live in separate groups depending on their sex and age, and
I love this.
lambs and ewes live in large herds until lambs are 2 to 4. And if they're female, they'll stay with that herd. But if they're male, they'll go seek out a bachelor herd.
I just heard this shit that, like, mothers and daughters will
Stick together.
yeah, they'll, like, be with each other forever,
I do like that.
and I was like, "Oh, that's adorable."
That is pretty cute. And then the bachelor groups are usually up to 10 rams, which is led by a dominant ram. And then bighorns have, oh, this is just a fun little fact.
Like cows.
Yeah, they have a four-chambered stomach, which helps them digest some of the rough foliage found where they live. And they have no predators in the park.
I want a cutie though. Okay, so pronghorn antelope is what they are known as, but it's not a true antelope actually. It shares a lot of qualities with Asia and African antelopes, but they are more closely related to the giraffe, which
This
I
reminds me of the goat thing. It's more like an antelope. I'm like, why can't y'all just name the things the way they are?
yeah,
Like, what?
yeah.
A giraffe, a pronghorn, and a
Okay,
giraffe?
but a pronghorn and a giraffe, I would have never put the two by each other. I could not believe that when I wrote.
Never in a million years.
I didn't look into the qualities that maybe that'll be part of the quiz. Is the qualities that what make a pronghorn like a giraffe? Because I'm very intrigued.
Yeah.
What? But they are often mistaken for deer. They're smaller and they have distinct white on their rump, on their side
Their
bellies, and on their throat. I'd say they're very noticeably different from white-tailed deer.
yes.
From someone who doesn't normally see deer, I guess. Okay, think about this.
I
You live in a
guess.
city. You've never seen a deer in real life.
I suppose. Maybe.
You have to forget your entire life. I know I see deer in my backyard every day. I could
Yeah.
never think a pronghorn looks like a whitetail. Or
I
a mule
suppose.
deer
I
even.
suppose.
But
yeah.
in a world where you've never seen
yeah.
a real deer in real life, and it's the first time like you've been out maybe for some reason in the nature time,
In the nature time.
you see one and you're like, oh, it's a deer. It's not.
It's not.
Okay,
It's a pronghorn.
it is. But due to their long legs and light bodies, large windpipes and cushioned hooves. They can run up to 55 miles an hour for half a mile and 45 miles an hour for long distances. And
That's
so this is actually because it's actually I just remembered this part, but it's actually my next point is that scientists believe they developed this trait by running from the American cheetah that went
oh,
extinct 12,000 years ago.
interesting.
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh, it's kinda cool. I kinda wish we still had American
I know,
cheetahs."
I didn't even know that was ever a thing.
Yeah, well, 12,000 years ago is a
It's a
lot.
long time. That's very true. Yeah. All right, and then we've got prairie dogs. They're a member of a rodent family, and over 5 billion once roamed the
So
plains,
many.
but just 5% of that size today, with two of the five species endangered. So it's like not a lot.
Hold, please. Now I actually
Um,
wanna know the number.
holding
Okay, so 5
5% of
billion.
billion.
500 that's 5,000,000. I feel like it's still gonna be a lot.
Well, I'm sure
250
250
million.
million,
There are
but
250
still,
million today.
yeah. S- so settlers of the prairie killed them by poison or recreational shooting as they were thought to carry diseases to cattle. And prairie dogs live underground in colonies, often referred to as towns, with the largest ever recorded being 25,000 square miles, bigger than West Virginia. Wait, I did not know where that was
I
going.
know. I know, isn't that crazy?
Like one town.
Yep, bigger than the state of West Virginia. Could you imagine?
Coterie is a town about an acre with 50 to 60 entry points and with one male and multiple females and offspring. They fatten up for winter and go into torpor, which is kind of like a hibernation, but not. And it's where an animal's body temperature, breathing rate, and metabolic rate decreases. So they become lethargic, but they stay awake, unlike hibernation, where
You
they're
go into a deep
sleeping.
sleep, yeah.
It's like a deep sleep. Yeah. Scientists believe that prairie dogs communication is one of the most complex animal languages ever decoded. They can speak the difference between dog and coyote.
Like, in amongst themselves. This would have been a cool trivia question for you because
Yeah.
this was actually really interesting, and I was like, "What?" Yeah, wait for this next one. Say the next one now. I'm sorry, I'm just too excited.
Instead of saying a human is coming, they say something like a tall human in a blue shirt is approaching rapidly. How
So,
do
it's not obviously those words
well,
because
I'm
they're not
aware.
human, but
No,
the
yeah.
fact that they have that much distinction in their language,
Yeah.
like, variation
Like, just,
is
like, that much
insane.
description in
Yeah,
it. That is
yeah.
insanity. They are one of the keystone species in the prairie, and they contribute homes from their burrows or from their burrows to other animals getting eaten, clipping vegetation, and much more.
So they also contribute by getting eaten.
Interesting. I
Well,
guess.
because it's a circle,
Yeah.
like, a lot
Circle
of
of life.
animals eat them, but
Yeah. Disease is a very real threat to them. And please do not feed or approach or touch them. You might kill them because they cannot process human food, and for your own safety, they can carry the plague. So just leave them alone, let them do their thing.
isn't that crazy?
Yeah. How can such an adorable little yippy thing
Carried
carry
in
the
a plague.
plague?
I know.
They're
Um,
so cute.
yeah, well, they are a rodent too, so, I mean,
That's true. But not all rodents are cute like prairie dogs.
that's very true. Rats, not
Not
cute.
cute.
Prairie dogs, kind of adorable.
Super cute.
And then we have black-footed ferrets, which is an animal I knew ferrets existed, but I
Yeah.
didn't know black-footed ferrets. But so ferrets are nocturnal and sleep up to 21 hours a day. They live in old prairie dog mounds underground. See, that's how prairie dogs are a
Interesting. Look
keystone
at them go.
species. Yeah, they really do be going. And one ferret eats a prairie dog every 3 days. So see, they also contribute by getting eaten.
Yeah, they do. They really do. Prairie
And
dogs are
They're essential.
Yeah.
And the rest of the black-footed ferret's diet is made up of squirrels, mice, or other rodents. And because of westward expansion, like most of these animals, it hurt the prairie, and prairie dogs population was hurt, and so black-footed ferrets population was hurt because that's one of their main sources of food.
Yeah.
And in 1967, they were endangered. With 1974, the last one disappeared, and in 1980, they were declared extinct until, oh my gosh, this is the cutest thing ever, until Shep, a ranch dog in Wyoming, killed one and brought it to its owner. And then the owner brought it to like a taxidermist, and this helped lead to the discovery of a relic population of 130 ferrets that remained. So, and it was on the rancher's property, so no one else knew it
Oh,
existed. He didn't even know it
yeah.
existed until his dog killed one and brought it
Oh my
back.
gosh.
Okay. Um, but then this population helped scientists capture and use them for reintroduction into the public lands and wild nature spaces. But in 1991, they were reintroduced.
Two spaces.
Okay, but listen to this.
Um,
Okay, this is a population on a ranch in Wyoming, found by a ranch dog. It was reintroduced to 28 sites across 8 states, Canada, and Mexico. Look at what this little Shep ranch dog did. Isn't that crazy?
I love Shep.
Me too. I think he's also just because I think it's so cool that
Just
like,
yeah.
what if your dog found an extinct species on your
Yeah.
property? That dog should, I mean, pamper him.
Honestly, that's what I'm
The Kanata Basin from 1996 to 1999, they released 147 ferrets into that part of the park. And then in 2007, since that population had done well, they removed 33 and put them in Wind Cave National Park, where there is now a population of 60. So the population has doubled in
wow.
19 years. 19 years. Well, actually, I don't know when this information is
Okay.
from the National Park website, so maybe it's a couple
Okay,
years
so
old.
it could be a couple years old.
Yeah. And there are 120 in the Badlands today, with only a few hundred living around the world in the wild, and 3,000 needed for the species to fully recover.
Oh,
Isn't that okay? There's only a few hundred living
yeah.
around the world, and Badlands has 120.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And Wind Cave has at least 60, so.
Yeah.
But the animal is still at risk from disease, loss of habitat, and decline of prey.
And then prairie rattlesnakes, they have the largest habitat range out of any rattlesnake species. They grow up to 5 feet long with dark blotches on their body, turning into rings near the tail, and they have a triangle head. When they're trying to scare a predator away, they make a babble with the tail. And then they hunt by sight, smell, and heat sensing, which is actually such a cool process that I learned on Wildcats when I was little. And it's like I can see the episode in my brain, but I can't remember how it works. So that's gonna be one of my questions too. Um, they use yeah. Okay, never mind. I lied. I didn't read ahead. They use thermal sensitive pits on their head to detect heat. They use their tongue for smell,
Yeah,
and
it's like all their senses are whacked.
or
I don't know.
just backwards.
Well, from ours, yeah.
Yeah,
They
I
just went
suppose.
backwards. But
Yeah,
I mean, I guess they're frontwards for them, so.
I suppose we're backwards. And then snake strikes, and when they inject venom, it's to weaken the prey. They wait for it to die, and then just eat it whole. Just swallow the whole thing.
Well, they don't have like claws and like things like,
Yeah, they
other
can't like
animals. So
almost or anything.
wow, they just detach their jaw.
They detach it. It just unhinges.
Yeah, which is
And then
also crazy.
yes, and then birds and badgers will eat rattlesnakes. The males search for the females in the spring and early summer, and then males compete in combat rituals. So they do combat. So they do combat dances where the males each other with their heads and part of their bodies off the ground, then intertwine and attempt to throw each other to the ground. So it's like
Just like that. Combat dances.
yes, that should be a thing. Females give birth to 8 to 17 baby snakes in the late summer, and they are born venomous and able to immediately take care of themselves. So they don't need nobody. They're just on their own from birth.
That's crazy.
Winter is too cold for snakes to be active since they are cold-blooded and can't they can't regulate their body temperature. Brumation is a period of sluggishness and reduced activity. Unlike hibernation, they don't sleep, they just become lethargic. And then snakes also have no way to dig, so they often use like underneath rocky outcrops or like go in underground holes as their dens. Sometimes prairie dog holes. Useful animals in the very keystone species. It really is. um, to not get bit, give them space and don't try to catch them. I mean, I don't know.
Also, they usually okay, like, almost always they'll
They'll
rattle.
rattle. You'll
So
know
yeah.
if
So, like,
you're like,
even if you're near one, even if, like, you're on a I remember being on a boardwalk
yeah,
trail, and I could hear the rattling, but you can look by your feet and see there's not a rattlesnake clearly on the trail or, like, right off.
yeah,
So you're probably near one, and you're probably too close to it, so you should,
yeah.
watch where you're walking
Like, don't
in that
stop and
area.
look
Yeah.
for it. Like, keep moving.
Well, yeah, just make sure you're not walking closer to it and you're clearly not stepping on one.
Yeah.
Especially because Badlands has that hiking policy where you can
But
go
it's
anywhere.
an
It's
open.
open. So now we're gonna roll into our questions that we were just curious about some things and we just did a little bit more research.
Yeah,
That was kind of out of our normal line. So do you wanna go first?
sure. So kind of like as we mentioned way in the beginning of the episode, the Badlands was home to a ton of fossil beds. And in 1997, there were two visitors who noticed exposed vertebrae and limb bones. They did the right thing and they notified park staff so they could get professionals out there to determine if the fossils needed to be removed or not. Like, just because people will steal them. So they decided that they needed to remove them, and unexpectedly, it took them much longer than they thought. It took 15 field sessions. So how many fossils do you think they found? 900, 9,000, 19,000, or 29,000?
Sorry, can you say them again?
900, 9,000, 19,000, or 29,000?
Say 19,000.
You're right!
Oh my gosh.
They found actually just over 19,000. The story is that 34 million years ago, when that whole environment started to dry out, the animals were dying of thirst and were looking for water. And there was this watering hole in the area, so a ton of animals were drawn to it. And then some would like go too far into the watering hole and get stuck, and then they would die. And then scavengers would come and like pick the meat off their bones, but some of the scavengers would also get stuck in that same area and they would die. So they found like the scavenger bones on top of the other ones.
Oh,
And then
that's
like
kind of cool.
over the years they just like got pushed further into the ground and then yeah, 34 million years later, they found them.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So my first question, if you remember from earlier in the episode also, we learned about a dog named Shep, the dog who rediscovered the black-footed ferrets that had
Yeah.
been claimed extinct by bringing one home to his owners, a dead one home to his owners. But then they found that they call it a relic colony since they thought they were
Oh yeah.
extinct on that farmer's land. So do you think, or what awards do you think Shep received for basically bringing back the black-footed
Yeah.
ferrets from extinction?
Yeah.
The Green Oscar, which is like a conservation Oscar.
Okay.
B, Champions of the Earth, which is like other conservation. Okay, I did not also they
I
have
didn't know
so
there
many.
was like awards for this
There's
stuff.
so many. There's so many, and there's so many specifically for like bringing back an endangered species. So Champions of the Earth, I think, if I remember right, was one specifically for bringing back endangered species.
Cool.
Yeah, so I actually had written out like which each one was specifically for before I
Yeah.
lost my
That's
pick.
that's
C is Indianapolis Prize, which is an award for conservationists again, and then D, none.
When was it? Do you remember when this was?
It was 1980, 1980s.
In my heart, I would love to say that he did get one, but no. You know what? I'm gonna guess that it was the green
Green
Oscar.
Oscars. Well, your original heart was right. He got no award. But
I figured.
okay, well, because I really was like, okay, you gotta win. Like, if I was a
But
dog,
but it was a dog. Like,
yeah,
it
but
was an
even they
egg.
do like awards, like, so like 20 years from then, like he could have won
Yeah,
something in like 2000
I
after he
suppose.
passed or something.
Yeah,
So I would assume he would be passed, but
that's really old dog.
so I know, but so he didn't win any awards, but some people do recognize September 26th as Black-footed Ferrets Rediscovery Day,
Okay.
and some of those people view that also as like an honor to Shep
Oh,
as like his vital role in safety.
okay.
But I mean, that's a minimalist
Yeah.
population of people. Zoos and educational programs do share his story. So like
Okay.
zoos will have like actually I think it was as many black-footed ferrets that are in the wild are in zoos.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, I
Oh,
think
I
just
believe
since
it.
they were like
Yeah.
endangered, and they're still endangered actually.
Yeah.
But just to kind of share their story, which is,
Yeah.
oh, that
That's
actually makes
actually
sense. Just like when we
that's
go to
cool.
places and we see the little informational signs.
Yeah.
So it's like on one of those. It
Okay.
said that Susie was on those, and then like educational programs. It's in some of
Well,
those.
that's
Yeah, so
something.
that shares the story a little bit. Yeah, I thought that was cool, and I was like, you know
Yeah.
what? There you go.
Yeah.
And then, fun fact: the Higgs, who are the owners of the famous ranch dog Shep and the ranch itself, actually set aside thousands of acres for the ferrets. Like they did touch them.
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
cool.
And then I wondered, do you think they were mandated not to touch it? Well, it said they like
I
it says
suppose.
because I would think since it's like an endangered
Well,
species,
since
I
they were
federally in
extinct,
yeah, and
they
then
thought they were extinct.
yes, and then they were still federally endangered.
Yeah.
Like they, I don't know, but it said that they preserve like they.
Yeah.
So maybe, but I would guess that they wouldn't be required to give them that much space.
I don't know. Interesting.
But I thought that was kind of cool. I was like, way to go, guys,
Yeah.
and way to go to your dog.
On way to go to your dog. Your dog
Go,
is
Shep.
a hero to
Also,
the
Shep is such a
ferret.
cute ranch dog name.
No, dude, that's what I was thinking. I was like, oh, that's so cute.
Shep. I love
I
that.
love it
Just
so
like he's a
much.
shepherd for the flock.
Yeah.
I love it.
Me too.
Okay, anyway.
Okay, next question. Okay, so we talked about this a little bit, or we wondered about this, is why was there such a large gap in geological time when deposition ended and erosion began? This one, I don't really have a multiple choice for you. It wasn't really a great multiple choice question.
That makes
But like,
sense.
whatever your best, wildest guesses.
Why there was so much time? Well, I guess before that just neither of those things were happening. Was it just like a standstill kind of time in geology where like not much was changing?
No, because it was like millions, like I think, and now
That's
I'm not
weird.
remembering.
Why wouldn't they have
But it was like
included it in
it was
no,
like
it was a lot of time.
like 20 some million
Yeah.
years where there was just like no record of them.
Was it washed away or something? I don't
So so it
eroded
says
already?
so the answer I got was because of fluctuating river systems and tectonic shifts. So I don't
So they can't see what was
so they
happening
can't
during that time
yeah,
period?
I
Okay.
think. So and then another reason could be because deposition stopped and then erosion started and then deposition started again. So we
Oh,
can't see. So we can't see what erosion happened between when deposition might have started again.
That makes sense.
And then like because the layers in the rock, they kind of like represent missing time and then show a change in the geological process. So that's there wasn't a super great answer, but the whole like with deposition stopping and then erosion starting and then deposition starting up again, that's what made the most sense to me.
That makes sense. The next question is, how many black-footed ferrets are there in Badlands National Park?
160.
That's correct. As of end of 2023, beginning of 2024, there were 160 black-footed ferrets in Badlands National Park, and with 400 to 500 being in the wild. So they have like half the population of wild black-footed ferrets. And then their recovery goal for them to not be endangered anymore is to reach 3,000. And
Wow.
so actually, while I was reading about how many there are today, I actually read about because do you remember how I was saying like the plague can get be hard on their species, and so actually part of the Badlands population did get the plague. I think it was back in 2007 or 2008. I didn't write any of this down. I just remember this, but it almost wiped out like over half the population that was there.
Oh my gosh.
Because and they had to like rebuild. And so now they've been sitting at I think at like a closer to steady number because I think on the national park website the research was from early 2020s.
Okay.
Um, and it also talked about how they like would capture some and put them somewhere else. And so I think they kind of, I would guess they steadily do that now.
Yeah.
And like 160 is probably close to the population cap in the Badlands National Park
Mhm.
because they've also taken some into like Wind Cave National Park where they're doing
Oh,
buffalo
yeah.
as well. And Buffalo Gap Grasslands, I think that's what
Yeah. Yep.
surrounds Badlands National Park. I think there are some in there as well. So I think this area actually has a lot of the
Yeah.
black-footed ferrets that do exist. Even though, do you remember I said they went to like multiple different states
Yeah.
and into Canada and Mexico.
Yeah. Yep.
So
So did they have like an estimated timeline that they think they will reach this 3,000 or no?
I don't know of one. I guess I didn't look up one.
I just think it'd be interesting, like if they have, but also with the species having like the plague and that being a relatively common thing, it sounds like.
Well, if it does happen, it can be very hard on the
Yeah.
species, basically. I'm not sure how common it is, but I think it can happen
It
too.
just okay.
So
If this has happened
just
recently.
disease and habitat loss, I think are hard on them.
Yeah. Hmm. So I just wonder if that's like something that they can predict or not really.
And I feel like since they've been sitting at that,
Yeah. No.
I feel like since they've been sitting close to that 160 number in Badlands for a while at
Yeah.
least, it would be hard for you to imagine that it would be like 10 years from now.
Anytime, like
I would think it would be a long time for them to reach 3,000.
yeah.
Unless they started reintroducing them into a whole new area where they haven't been yet. I don't know what that would be. But
But then that introduces like new predators and yeah. That's just interesting.
yeah.
All right. And then my last question is why are the Badlands eroding so fast? Aggressive weather, a type of rock in the formations, or because of no vegetation?
I was about to say the type of rock, but the no vegetation, it kind of makes you think. I'll go with the type of rock.
It's actually all of them. So you're gonna get it right anyway. Um so they are made up of like the formations are made of soft sedimentary rocks like shale, siltstone, and volcanic ash, and they don't hold up well against any type of weather. So no wind or water, like they just don't hold up well against. And then also there's so little vegetation there, so there's no real like soil to or any plants or anything to soak up any of the water, so they get a lot of flash floods, which is another like is like the most major thing that erodes in the Badlands.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
My last question is, how are pronghorn more closely related to giraffes than deer? So, A, their legs, B, their speed, C, their horns, and D, their ancestors.
Their legs,
Their speed, their horns, and their ancestors.
I'm gonna have to guess ancestors. I mean,
So that is one of the correct answers.
wait, can I guess the other one?
Yeah.
Is it their horns?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Giraffes and pronghorn are in the superfamily, I might say this wrong, Giraffidia, and the bony structure on their heads is unlike true deer or typical antelopes because pronghorn have the bony cores that we talked about. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And it's covered by a keratin sheath that they then shed and regrow, but the bone part always stays there. And so they regrow the sheath part annually, and it's a unique trait that's similar to the permanent ossicones, I think that's what it's called, of giraffes, because giraffes' horns are like, you know how they're always, and I honestly forgot that giraffes even had horns.
I really
think
too.
that they're
just
they're
like
smaller, they're more like horn type
yeah.
things that aren't
Well,
like,
they're not like
they're not
ears.
yeah, and they're not like antlers or
Yeah.
like tusks where they're really up there.
They're not prominent. They're kind
That's
of like
not the thing you notice when
just
you
like
see a
by-
giraffe.
no, you notice the
The neck and the
14-foot neck.
Yeah. But that's actually really cool.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Yeah. I also read something about how it's like another reason that they're more related. It wasn't like their top reason, but it was something about how they all came from like the one-toed ancestor. And I was like, oh, because you know how ode a one toe.
One toe. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And then I wondered, what are pronghorn? I didn't look into this. These are things I just wondered. And I was like, what are pronghorn like tracks like? Because deer have that little
Yeah,
like
the
two
two
toes.
toes. Yeah.
And I was like, but also horses have one toe. And I was like,
So I wonder if
horses
interesting.
and giraffes. Well, but the Giraffoidea or whatever superfamily sounds very specific to giraffe. It is
Yeah.
actually specific to giraffe, okapis, and pronghorns. And I don't know what okapis is. As soon as it was like that weird one that was at the San Diego Zoo, I think. I could be wrong. But I thought it was that weird one that was at the San Diego Zoo that kind of looks like a giraffe, but it's like brown and it has weird zebra stripes.
Huh? What?
Okay, now I really need to know what this is.
I've never been to the San Diego Zoo. So
No,
I don't know.
it was we were gonna go when we were gonna go on our California.
Yeah.
And that was the animal I showed you guys, and I was like, "Are you guys interested in seeing this?" Because it was
because the name sounded familiar, but I was like,
yeah,
I can't
because
picture this in my head.
the other person we were gonna go with, we were all intrigued in the San Diego Zoo, but then
Yeah.
there was a San Diego like zoo safari cutoff,
Yeah.
and that was actually like an hour further out
Yeah.
that had the weird animal thing, and I was like, okay, well, how interested are you in seeing this? Oh my gosh, it is.
Yeah.
The okapis. See, it looks like it's like a brown zebra thing. They're actually super cool. I watched them on YouTube.
Is it like one of the zorses or whatever?
Well, I don't think so because it specifically said okapis, giraffes, and pronghorn. We will have to little green screen.
My gosh. And how is it just their legs that are striped?
I don't know, but if you could own an illegal animal, like anyone, this would be kind of a cool.
That would be really cool.
Look at that thing. It just looks so dorky. Like it looks like it's its
ears or
yeah, but its legs are kind of like stocky but really thin at the same time.
Yeah, but then it's like torso's like
they're in a weird puberty that never really ends, and I love it. They just look wonky, and I honestly look at that thing. Tell me that thing ain't wacky. I love it.
I like the shape of its ears.
Me too.
Oh, they have horns.
Yeah, I bet you they're kind of like
you know what? Its face does really remind me of a giraffe.
Yeah, no, it kind of does. Well, and
so then are zebras part of this?
I don't think so. I think these striped things. Well, because pronghorn and giraffes are more closely related than a pronghorn and deer, so it's not all about pattern. Because I think this also comes from evolution and ancestors.
I guess.
You know, it's from a long time ago that they were.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's so interesting.
Those would be the things.
Oh my gosh.
I can't believe I actually knew what that. I was like, I think
that's crazy.
We almost saw one of those. There's not a lot of them in the U.S.
So the San Diego Zoo, Dallas Zoo, Cincinnati Zoo, Bronx Zoo, St. Louis Zoo, and Columbus Zoo. Well, it says you can see okapis in the U.S. at various major zoos, including. So I wonder if there's also others.
I think it's not in Minnesota.
Their plural is okapi.
Oh, that's so cute. I love that even more. And if you could, please take a minute or maybe two, I don't know, and leave us a review on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or Amazon. We would greatly appreciate it. Thank you for everyone who has left us a review.
Yeah.
We see you.
We appreciate you.
Yeah. And every time I'm like, Michaela, we got one more. I got another one. There's another one. Yeah. And the subscribers, every time we get a new subscriber, I'm always like, I text Michaela a screenshot. I'm like, Michaela, look, people are listening to us. I love it. Yeah, I get so excited.
Me too. And then also, check out our Instagram account. The handle is Sleeping in Park. I do the same thing with Emma. It's like, we got a new like. Look at this. Look at this. We have another like.
And if you have any tips, episode suggestions, or questions for us, please either reach out to us on Instagram or email us at sleepinginpark25@gmail.com. So, thanks for listening.
Please like, share, and subscribe to
Sleeping in Park.